plain. Young people understand it's not a game. Rebuke the negative conduct. Teach summits, a vision like you never see. Parents, young people, and those in between. Generational turnaround. Our mission is clear. Revive the village, elders where y'all at. God says He's not through with you yet. God gave us the vision. We need you to help us understand, support young people, lending a helping hand, addressing their needs, sharing their plans. Oh, teach solid, a vision like you never seen. Parents, young people, and those in between.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Generational Turnaround Podcast, where we seek the truth and then we bring you the proof. Welcome. Today is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Today, I have a very special guest who is one of the speakers in the GT Summit that we're having in Gulfport, Mississippi. And not only that, I had to say that first, she is an author, a speaker, and she just finished a brand new book, a nonfiction, The Father Factor. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more. I know she's been on here before, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her. Julianne Monique Fields is an extraordinary individual from Slidell, Louisiana, now residing in Dallas, Texas. As a loving mother of 5 children, she embodies strength and resilience in all aspects of her life. Julianne is a renowned international best-selling author, and that's not counting this. She was already an international best-selling author before her newest book. She recognized for her captivating storytelling and honored with 2 prestigious journalism awards. She is also passionate about health and wellness, empowering others to embrace a holistic approach to well-being. As an educator, Julianne shares her knowledge and experience, inspiring personal growth and development. She is known as the virtual granny on TikTok. She spreads joy and inspiration throughout uplifting content. Despite being legally blind, Julianne's faith in God fuels her determination to overcome obstacles. She hosts a popular podcast sharing valuable insights on wellness and personal growth. Now, connect with Julianne at fieldsofwellnessoutlook.com to learn more about her remarkable work and be inspired by her dedication to help others. And that's just on the short version of what she is all about. But now I'm going to bring her up so that you can meet Julianne Monique Fields. Hello, Julianne. Hello.
Greetings, Dr. Judy. How are you?
Oh, blessed and highly favored to
Yeah.
have you on the show with me again. Because you know we cut up when we get together now, and don't we? Mostly you be trying to keep me contained. I know. I know.
And Judy, I
Oh,
favorite interview host.
oh, thank you. And thank you for coming. It's been a short notice, but when knowing you like I do, you are always on, you just always ready. And sometimes you fuss at me for these last late minute things. Yeah, you do. But you didn't today. And I I wanted you to tell everyone about this great book that you just finished and it is ready for everybody to buy a copy. But I want you to tell them a little bit about it. 'Cause I don't want to say too much because I know too much, so I don't want to say too much.
Well, the title of the book is The Father Factor, and it talks about healing the wounds, the father wounds of children from childhood trauma. And you may say, well, what does that mean? But it's something that God gave me. Um, the Lord showed me, or He told me years ago, partially because of my own relationship with the Lord. There were some things that I was wanting and needing, but I wasn't asking God. And the Lord told me, He said, the reason you don't know how to ask me for what you want is because you didn't have um, a good, positive relationship with your father. And so you didn't know how to ask him what you want. You know, I was never, my biological father did not raise me. My stepfather raised me. And I always just kind of felt like a disconnect there. And so I felt like I had to perform, but I didn't feel like I had the right to ask for what I really wanted or needed. And that played over into my adult life. And when it came to things that I wanted or needed in my adult life, I didn't know how to go to God and say, Daddy, I need this, or Father, I need this, because I didn't not know how to do that with my biological father or even my stepfather. And so that's where um, some of the impetus for this book came from, was that God said that I wasn't the only one who didn't know how to have a relationship with a father figure, because some of us have had fathers that um, were wounded or broken or had addictions, or either were absent from the home, or they just had issues, habits, and things like that that they were dealing with themselves. And so they really didn't know how to be a father to a child. And he wanted me to emphasize in this book just how important it is to our children for them to have a relationship with their fathers, whether that father is in the home or outside the home, because that also leaks over into how we relate with God as our Father as well.
Right. You just said we all, if we don't have a relationship with our biological fathers, then we might have problems asking God, our true Father, for
Mm-hmm.
what we need, even though He knows what we need. But when it comes to asking Him, we kind of shy away from doing it because we have no relationship with our biological father.
And the scripture says you ask because you ask not. And
Mm,
that was part of the thing. There were some things that I was like, well, Lord, some of these other people have stuff, or they're getting uh advanced in their career and in their life and this and that. And I serve you, and, I try my best to live a good life. And how come it's happening for them and not for me? And
Yeah.
that came to me. It's like, you have not because you ask not. And I was like, I was taught, to don't ask for a whole bunch of stuff. Like, don't let nobody know that you were in need, or don't let anybody know that you're struggling, or you have a need. You need to wear a mask, paint on a smile, and pretend like all is well, even though you may be dying inside. And, God wants us to be not only I believe it's Third John. It says, um, the scripture leaves me right now, but it's, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. And
Yeah.
so he not just wants us to be in health, but he wants us to prosper. But, um, a lot of times we won't ask him about prosperity. We won't even ask him about health because we believe that, we get what we get and don't throw a fit type of thing.
Mhm.
But he really wants what's best for us. Another favorite scripture of mine, Jeremiah 29:11. For
Mhm.
plans I have, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. But, he may have those plans for us, but if we don't come to him
Mhm.
and talk to him and spend time with him and relate with him, just like with the father, um, I can go back to a grandfather. Let me put it like that, because I felt like I had a wonderful relationship with my papa.
Yeah.
um, I could sit on his lap. I could ride his feet as he walked through the house,
Yes.
wrap myself around his legs, and he couldn't even hardly walk for me wrapped around his legs and stuff like that. And I had no problem telling him what I wanted or what I needed, but that was because of the relationship that we had. And that
Mhm.
wants to be with us. He wants us to come to him and talk to him, spend time with him, love on him, let him love on us, and, you know, um, come to him and ask him for what we need. The Bible says that he owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. So why should we be lacking if our Father is rich?
I know, but back in the day, in our day, we were taught not to be asking for stuff that we did not need. Like
Right.
it was almost a sin
Hmm.
to want things that are a want, not a need.
Yes.
Well, I've got a couple of questions that I got from your book, and
Okay.
see if this uh what you uh I think that I'll start with. In what ways does the absence of fathers in many households contribute to difficulties in relating to authority figures and personal relationships?
It's a direct relationship, Dr. Judy. I believe I quote in there from either Light University or a psychiatrist. I mean, uh, just from a study that I did some research, and it's a direct correlation. A lot of the children are growing up in what's called today a fatherless generation, where not
Mm,
they not have a father in the household, but they don't have a father in their generation. They don't have a father. There's no grandfather. There's no great grandfather. And in some cases, there's no uncles. It's just mama and them.
right.
Because of that, they are used to sometimes getting their way in the home with mama because there's not a man to put his foot down and to create the structure and the discipline and things like that. And so you have a group of children, both male and female, who have no respect for authority, because they haven't seen authority uh, displayed, because a lot of them are their mom's best friends. And
Mhm.
what they have to do is throw a temper tantrum, and mama will give in to them and let them say and do and act. However, I work part time. Well, I don't work, but because I'm disabled now, but I volunteer at the community center across town in South Dallas. And a lot of those children are from single parent homes, and are most of those single parent family homes are headed by women. There are a couple that are headed by men, but there's a big difference in the way the children act when it's a single father as the head of the household versus a single mother as the head of the household. Some of those children that are in homes where there's single mothers, those children will curse you, they will challenge to fight you, they throw temper tantrums, they are unruly, and they just absolutely have no boundaries, a lot of times no rules that they have been taught or whatever, because they're raised, well, they're not even really raised. They're allowed to just grow up in the same house with their mom.
Why do
And
you think that's, why do you think that is a generation that, is it they dropped the ball, or is it because the men were not part of the life of the mother
I
and
think it's a
therefore,
combination of things, Miss Judy, and I talk about this in the book, that we as a community, as African Americans, have been targeted for a very long time. At one time, our family structure was the strongest of
yes,
all other cultures. Now it's the weakest. Um, you know, we had a period of time where um, Black men and women honored and loved each other and rolled with the punches with each other no matter what. Um, there was a time when in our communities, when we heard about domestic violence and drug addiction and things like that, we automatically knew that was across the tracks in the white community because our folks wasn't doing that. But now our community has just as much domestic violence problems, just as much problems with addiction, just as much problems with incarceration as all the other cultures. And I really believe that's what we're experiencing now. A lot of these women have had to um, raise children by themselves because their fathers were either gone, incarcerated, or on drugs, or you know just doing other things. There was a time in our culture where women had a mindset of, I don't care what my husband is doing out in the streets as long as he comes home and brings his money home. And but nowadays the mindset is, I don't want a man and I don't need a man because I'm a boss B, or I'm a boss chick, or I can do good or bad all by myself. And that's really rolling down on the children and causing the children to not have respect for men, period. Not even having respect for their own mothers. And so you can ask anybody who's an educator, they will tell you that in the last 20, 30 years, there has been a tremendous change in our children and our household dynamics since that whole New Jack City era,
mm,
where now you have children in these inner cities that are selling drugs and um, bringing home more money than what the mom and daddy are doing, and they're feeling like, because I'm bringing home money, you don't have the right to tell me nothing. And
well,
that's
do you think that that's the the link between the lack of a father figure and mental health issues.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely. Because these children, the father is the foundation.
mhm,
The father is the foundation of the family. He's the foundation of the home. He's the foundation really of the community and the church.
mhm,
And so when we don't have a strong father figure in the home, these children are depressed. They're looking for love in all the wrong faces and places. And a lot of times the drug dealer will give them the attention they need. A lot of times the pimp and the pusher will give them the attention they need that they aren't getting from their father and their mother is unable to give. And the Lord He showed me and told me something a couple of years ago. I used to have a broadcast on Clubhouse. And the Lord told me, He said that I needed to challenge the men to take their rightful place back in the family, to get back to being the head of the family, to get up, step up, gird up, and stand up and be the man that God created them to be. And they don't have to be in a relationship with the mother in order to do that. Yes, it would be best if they were husband and wife. And yes, it would be best if the man was back in the home. But as a man, you don't have to be in the home to still have a positive impact and influence in your son and daughter's lives. And we see that the sons and daughters who don't have positive influence and structure from their fathers are more likely to have depression, commit suicide, have mental health issues, get unfortunately get strung out on drugs and or with the girls. Well, not even just the girls, but even some of the boys are more easily violated sexually because they don't have that protection or that what is it called, affirmation from their father,
mhm, mhm,
who pours into the child and tell them, you know, you're a representative of me, you're royalty, these are our family values, this is what we stand on, or this is what we don't fall for. But when they don't have that, then there's a void. And a lot of our children today, because they don't have fathers in the family, they don't necessarily have that introduction to church and God, and so they're just out there floundering. So not only do they not have a, a earthly father or a biological father, but they don't even know that there's a father in heaven that cares about them, that loves them, that um, is committed to them or whatever.
well,
And
you
to
know what? I'm gonna take a break. Hold that thought, because I
okay,
want to show everybody your book,
okay,
and we're gonna take just 30 seconds.
okay.
All right, that is Julianne's beautiful, beautiful book, The Father Factor, that we're talking about right now. And she has, at the end of this broadcast, you will see that commercial again and where you can get her book, but it is through Amazon. But yeah, Jolene has copies of her own, and we would love that you would get a copy from her. So, Fields of Wellness at Outlook.com. Again, feels, right, Julianne?
Yes,
Julianne, you
L-I-S.
say it.
Fields of Wellness at outlook.com.
All right.
I
All
would look
right.
being sent to you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how does your experience of rejections and wounds from in your book, I'm not going to talk about too much of it, but how does rejection go against these young people who are that do have a father, but still going through the rejection? How does
Well,
that affect?
it's devastating for a child to have a father in their life but be rejected by that man. Um, what it does is it makes them feel like they're nothing. Um, and it makes them have what I consider is like a hole in their soul, which is basically a father wound. Now there are mother wounds as well, but I think father wounds are a lot more prevalent in our African American community because our men, um, let's face it, our men have been displaced. Originally, the way God created it was for the man to be the head of the family, then the mother, and then the children. And so, because our men have disappeared from the home, it allows now the mother the opportunity to be the head of the home. But the mother wasn't supposed to be the provider. The provider was supposed to be the father, who is supposed to be providing, defending, and protecting um, the family. And so now it makes the mother have to step into the position of the provider, the defender, and the protector of the family. But that's not her role. Her role is to nurture. And so now we have the TV, Xboxes, and whoever is the daycare provider for these children or the teacher doing what the father was supposed to do. And that's to lovingly accept those children, plant and pour into them all of the goals and values and morals and things like that. And when we see the father not in his rightful place, then it eschews the family and it causes the family to be not in their rightful place. And so those children go out looking for what they feel like they know they should have, and they can't necessarily find it in their dad. They can't find it in mama because mama's now working 2 and 3 jobs to keep them in Jordans and things like that. And so that just gives the enemy the opportunity to run rockshot over the children.
Well, Joanne, look, so this is a natural alignment that we're out of. We're no longer in the alignment of God. We have let all that go, and now we have our own alignment that's not working.
No, ma'am. And we know it's not working. We have more African American children who are committing suicide, who are strung out on drugs, who are being incarcerated at early ages. As a matter of fact, they began building prisons um, based on the third grade population of Black boys because they project by the time those boys make it out of high school, they'll go straight from the school to prison pipeline.
In that you can see that because what do we have? All our young men are in the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
They and when they get out, they've got a brand on their back that they can't even just get out, go to work, and rebuild their life. They are branded, and that they are no longer in relationships with the children because the life as they knew it is no longer. They're not welcome. So we, as the nonprofit, That's one of our goal is to try to help young men, black men, when they get out of prison and they are in the reentry stage,
Hmm.
help them to be able to get whatever ID they need, to help them get jobs, but to help them expose their record because they can't get the jobs that they need, Julianne, because they have these records, even though they've done the time. So here we are.
And one of the things is, I think that's phenomenal what you're doing with this whole generational turnaround and the nonprofit. But also, I think we need to also focus on doing everything that we can to keep our boys out of the prison system.
Yes, indeed.
If that means after school programs, if that means, just making a sacrifice once a week, once a month. I shared this on Saturday with some people, and I had two young men from the military in my life that I was not dating. They were not my boyfriends or anything, but I was a single parent. My children's father had just recently died, and these two young men stepped up and they would come to my house. They would take my boys for hamburgers. They would take them to the park to fly frisbees with them. They'd take them to the football games. They'd take them hiking and fishing and things like that. But it was just a small investment of time, a couple of hours a week, that those young men from the military donated into my son's lives. And it made all the difference in the world in
Mm,
my son's lives. And I'm just encouraging our men um, to pay it forward,
pay it
or
forward.
to I call it the Mordecai challenge. And I don't talk about this in the book, but this is something that God gave me. And that is, Mordecai stepped up uh, and became the father figure that Queen Esther or Hadassah needed in her life because her mother and father were killed. And it was because of the training that Mordecai gave Hadassah that she was chosen queen. And then later, because of his continued support and training to her, she was able to save her culture. And so I just, I extended that challenge to the men the other day, saying, will you be a Mordecai in a child's life, whether male or female? In Mordecai's case, Esther was a female. But there's some young men out there who need a Mordecai to pour into their life as well. And
Yes.
I just want to challenge the men that are listening. If you're not a father, what what kind of impact can you have in a child's life just by buying them a happy meal? Maybe once a month,
Time,
once a week.
time.
Take them to the park and throw them a football. It's little small things like that that will keep some of these children out of jail,
That's
out,
right.
out of the detention center, from being expelled and selling drugs to the, because let me tell you, the drug dealer has time for them.
Mm-hmm.
He'll set them right next to him and show them how to cut cocaine and how to make crack into out of how to turn cocaine into crack rocks. He's got time for that. But as Christian men or as even regular men, what do you have time to pour into a child,
Mm-hmm.
male or female?
And a lot of people think that, well, that's not my problem. My children are right here. I know what my children are doing. So uh, that's not my problem. But
And you're right. It isn't a problem. But
until it's their problem.
mhm,
Right, Julian?
yeah, it's not their problem necessarily. However, but when one of those same children um, are dating your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
one of those same children is encouraging your son to do something that he's not supposed to, then it becomes your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, I feel like we need to go back to the old ways where it took a village to raise a child.
Generational turnaround. That's
Absolutely.
right. Generational turnaround because, like I say, I'm not saying that any particular generation was better than any other, but from each generation, there was a period of time that you can look back and you can remember that this worked, and it worked for a long time until someone says that's the old days. We've
Hmm.
got to move forward. But as you and I are talking about the old days and about, we're remembering that this, there was a time when Black families, they were the goal when it came to how to raise a family. And we did. And I was raised in a family where we ate at the dinner table. That's where we discussed how the day was.
Hmm.
We talked about, we did not go to bed until we talked about how that day was.
Hmm.
And the plans, we made plans for tomorrow. Well, that's not so. Most families don't know what their child is going to do tomorrow or what's even on their mind.
Yeah, and that's so unfortunate. We're living in a time where children really, I can't even say are raising themselves. Children are just coming up, and the TV, the Xbox, and some of these virtual reality games are more of an influence in the child's life than the teacher, the parent, or the pastor. And it's so unfortunate. But we've just got to believe that, um, that we can turn these things around. And if we keep, um, I call it beating my pot. If I keep beating my pot, eventually somebody will come to the door and say, "Hey, what's all that racket? Or why are you making all that noise?" And it's because we need to wake up and get back to the foundations of raising children.
The community, like you say, the village elders are us. We in the generations before us and behind us, we have an obligation. If we want to see our grandchildren and our great grandchildren, then to be able to produce, reproduce, and take this planet to where it's supposed to be. And right now, I'm not seeing that. So that is why Generational Turnaround Summit in September the 6th and the 7th, we need you all, everybody, to come together. And I'm bringing 16 speakers to Gulfport, Mississippi, so that we can have parents and young people in the same room, ready to talk to, I don't know which speaker, that they will resonate with, but they'll be able to, after that speaker speaks, if that is the one that they feel like touched them, let's continue the conversation in a panel. There is no time like the present. We are losing our young people in such rapid speed. And as Jolene, I've had a massive stroke. I've lost my right side, but I'm out here fighting, trying to keep. I have four granddaughters. Yeah, from the age of 16 to 25. We can't let what's happening right now continue and expect that they will have a life. God says we are to have an abundance. Is that how did he say that, Jolene?
He said, I came that you would have life and life more abundantly.
Okay, so right now I'm inviting everyone. Jolene, virtual granny, Jolene, she effortlessly go to TikTok and talk to the young people. She believed in manners, etiquette. She believed that we need to start from our young people. Is that right, Julianne? Tell
So,
them.
Miss Judy, the thing is, uh, well, yeah, the it's one thing for your children to be um intelligent and gifted and all that type of stuff, but if they don't have manners, that's what's going to really make the difference. I teach children the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I teach them how to respect themselves, how to respect their elders, and how to respect others. And I think that's really the foundation. I'm going to be getting a little bit more into the etiquette and the manners and things like that. Let me tell you, it's so important that the rich, they have schools that they put their children in outside of the regular school, and it teaches them etiquette and decorum.
Yes.
They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for their children to go to charm school and etiquette school and classes and things like that, because they know that's what their children need in order to make it um, in society and in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I know with me, that was something that I was taught at home as a child. These days, it's not necessarily being taught at home because we have a whole generation of parents who felt like that wasn't important. That what was important was learning how to tweak and shake your butt and how to get a man and take advantage of a man and things like that. But we've just got to go back to the foundations. We've
Thank
got to go back to the foundation. And yes, people may call me old fashioned or say, your skills are outdated and this and that and what and what. But um, it comes to a time where we have to decide, who are we going to obey, God or man?
That's it.
I take
That's
God
it.
800, Alex.
I take God too. Well, Jolene, thank you so much for being my guest on this show today. Thank you for helping me clear up generational turnaround, because that's, you can see, just talking about wellness.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about generational turnaround. There's so many people that are out of their health
Mm-hmm.
so bad. And it will take a generational turnaround in order to get us back on track, to
Yes.
get our bodies back, our minds back. So, Jolene, that's you right there. Am I right?
Yes. That's my
Yeah.
that's the area that God gave me is health and wellness, and I do health and wellness consulting, and I make health and wellness products. Not so much anymore because I've had a round of vision loss, but I still have the knowledge and the information, and I'm willing to share that. And I believe that's something that we not shouldn't just share with our elders and our adults, but it's something that we should teach our children as well. Because you've got nowadays, you have young adults who are in their 20s and 30s having heart attacks and having to go on dialysis and having to get replacement kidneys and things like that, and it's just crazy. So, and all of that goes right on back to the whole family structure. Instead of families sitting around the table eating collard greens and cornbread and stuff like that, we're having pizza rolls and hot dogs and things like that, which are killing us. There's more. There is more estrogen in a chicken breast than there is in a birth control pill.
Mm.
So if
Okay.
you're giving your daughters um, chicken nuggets, chicken breasts, chicken fingers, and you start that at 3 and 4 years old, by the time they're childbearing age, now they can't even become pregnant because they've basically been eating chicken their whole life, and that chicken is pumping estrogen into their system, and now they're not able to conceive.
Jolene, that's true. How many people don't know that? That's why they need to be able to get in touch with you. And that's an area that you're knowledgeable of that.
Hmm.
So uh, can you give them your email address again?
Absolutely. I'm at Fields of wellness, WELLNESS, all one word, fields of wellness at outlook.com.
Okay. Thank you again, Jolene. I pray that today was better than yesterday, but
Amen.
it's not as good as tomorrow. I pray that tomorrow will bring forth a double portion of blessing in the form of opportunity that we never saw coming. And I want to play Jolieanne's. I want to put your commercial on here again, and you just hold on, okay?
Okay.
Generational turnaround. Our mission is clear. GT Summit will
Today,
convene.
and
All
we'll be back
specific growth
Saturday
goals.
when I
People
have
of our all are
another
going to the
speaker that's
street
going to
to make it
be at
happen.
the
Black people's
GT
never
Summit.
Martin Luther King Jr.
All right, y'all. That is one of our theme songs. We haven't decided which one will be the theme song, but you might have to help us in that area. Thank you. All right, Julianne. Thank you again.
It was my pleasure, Miss Judy.